All right, there we go.
All right. Well, welcome to our third time together. I realize I probably didn't introduce myself before, but I am Deanna, and I get the privilege of being in a space with Donnie. So part of the reason that I became part of this was because my dad would talk to me a lot about just the world and about how to navigate the world. And he gave me tons of gifts of knowledge and also left me little notes in some of his books after he passed away. And so as we were talking with Donnie, I realized that this is just a moment in time that we could share together and share some stories and some great knowledge. So, Donnie?
Yeah, absolutely. I think also with our dynamic and with this is that in telling my story, I don't know any different. So I could sit here and just tell my story, and it sounds like a complete off the wall type thing, where you're able to kind of reel me in and really give a different perspective of someone that doesn't remember any of this stuff. So it's really great. Yeah, it's really great. So for both of us today, we actually had pretty rough days. Our rough day coming to today.
Yeah.
We're super excited about doing this podcast today, but leading up to that, there's a lot of feelings. there's just life. There's life going on. We're both crazy busy schedules, and then actually having time to sit here and do this podcast is really it's a luxury because we're out there scrapping and moving and trying to hold everything together in life, and so I had a guy on a comment on social media said that I was a big liar and I was a scammer, and I thought that was hilarious because I was like, well, he's like, you're a liar and you're just trying to get money from people that are naive.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure my 6 likes on my videos I'm not going to retire on. And secondly, if I'm a scammer, I spent money on cameras, on the mics and renting the space and the parking. And it's like, I'm like the worst scammer ever if that's the case.
And time.
Right. I feel obligated, honestly, to share my memories and my experience. The whole thing started. If you didn't watch part 1 and part 2, basically it's just, of course, the podcast is called A Letter to Myself, which I'm reincarnated, and in my previous life, I died in a car accident. I was about 9 years old. My dad was driving. He went off a bridge and I drowned. And then my memories. Then I went through heaven, and then to now. And my memories have always been, of course, continuous. They never stopped. I didn't remember one day. I didn't drop acid and whatever. There's always just been this memory. So around somewhere in my 20s, I realized that people did not remember anything. They're just here and just okay. And then I was like, it was really terrifying because I thought, without the backstory of life, without the backstory, how weird would that be? How strange would that be? Mm-hmm. And that freaked me out. So I started writing a book, and actually I'm still working on that book, and I decided to do the podcast in the middle of this. My wife's actually writing for me, and I just verbally tell her, and she writes. She's actually a really wonderful writer. She says it more elegantly than I can because I have not a lot of education. I even said that wrong. And so she's super educated, super amazing, and so she's helping me with that. But I thought, meanwhile, of course, you and I had felt that we were going to do this podcast, or we're going to do something. Of course, I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know any of that years ago. So I didn't. And I think he felt it too, and
Yep.
we didn't really understand or what, or it's like, but we're gonna get this out there, So um, I also feel, of course, I shared in the last podcast where I feel an obligation to share this. There's no scam, there's no Patreon, no one's paying me money, no one. Yeah, it's a money loser if you want to get to money, but if you, yeah. So that's not even like I tell people don't subscribe, don't like my video. It's not about that. That's not what we're here for. So it's my experience, and I just want to share it, and that's it. I'm actually excited. I don't know how many podcasts we'll do after this
Mm,
because we kind of did what we wanted to do. This
mhm.
isn't our career. This isn't our livelihood. This is
Yeah.
something we're super passionate about. But at the same time, I like living it.
Yeah.
We both have lives. We both have things that we want to do.
Yep.
We want to experience, and we want to get out there and do it. Sitting here talking, the last podcast was actually really difficult for me because I hadn't been in that place in a long time. So to sit there and talk about it and go through the trenches and the rolling in the mud, I mean that's some hard stuff right there, and it
Yeah.
really, yeah, I had to reel it back in what my normal life is. Normally it's super exciting. It's embarrassingly good. It's embarrassingly exciting. It's so good. Yeah. So anyway,
And just to go a little bit further on the recap, um, so last time because there's a sequence to how you've experienced this.
yeah,
Last time, in the sequence, we talked about some hard trauma, some
yeah,
hard truths that you experienced
yeah.
and that you caused, and even how those things affected the people um, that we love, and
Yeah.
so that was really difficult.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I want to share that. The beauty of this is that because it's a journey, where I feel like we're at a place where, okay, so now, like you said, you're experiencing such excitement every time I see you're like excitement
It's
about
crazy.
dreaming
It's
about,
crazy.
like, just about all the things that happen.
Hmm.
And so this is where we kept on saying, oh, we can't wait to talk about this part. This
Yeah.
is part of the beginning of the foundation of what it means to not only dream but experience the dreams of the big picture.
Right. The bigger picture. The other stuff was
Yeah,
you've got to go through the other stuff in order to reach this part. I mean, you could
yeah,
just watch this video and just this, but and it will explain also why later. And of course we talk a lot of off camera, but in one of the conversations, it's the steps in manifestation,
yeah,
and one of those steps is we'll refer back to really what the second podcast was about.
yeah,
So yeah, we got a lot to say today. Today the plan is to cover basically where we left off. Really manifesting and dreaming and pursuing dreams, and really you go through the trenches of life. You go through that. You go through forgiveness. You do all that work with yourself. You find love. You find compassion with yourself. You find peace. You find all this stuff, and then it's like, okay, well, what's next? And then the what's next, really, I think it's like the icing on the cake.
mm-hmm.
It's realizing that, wow, how amazing life can be, and allowing that to be, and allowing, once the forgiveness is there, once the self-value comes back, you're not self-sabotaging, you're not feeling unworthy, you're not doing all these other things. What does that life look like? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So uh,
I love it.
so you ready to dive in here?
Let's go. Let's do
All
it.
right, so we're gonna move the camera so we can
You
kind
got
of.
it? All
I
right.
think I got it. We'll see if I drop it or not. Let's see here. So here we go. We go up. So
That's perfect.
I think we can have the whole picture in there. We don't have to move it over in the end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go stand over there, and you can kind of tell me if that is somewhat right.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we can move it something like this.
Yeah.
See if I drop it or not. Sorry for that.
No, that's good.
I think that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to just do a quick recap on this chart here. Basically what this is the journey of the soul and what it looks like. And then we've got eternity, which is in parallel with the physical realm and linear time. So we're going to break this down and kind of explain it. And
I might scoot it. I'm sorry, Donnie.
Oh, yeah,
I might
you're good.
scoot it over a little bit. I
Okay.
don't know if that makes a difference.
It
but-
might help because it might look small in the
glare
camera.
and
Yeah.
and there's like a glare. Okay. Here we
Okay.
go.
So we started off over here. You've got heaven. You've got the souls in heaven. And then this line represents coming into the physical realm. And then on the last video, we talked about this a lot, the different parts of ourself. As we come in and explain it as basically there's a lot of different colors to our painting. And all those colors combined make the painting of who we are. But it's actually multifaceted. And also, we talked about the parts of yourself that you come into this world, into the physical body, into this realm. And then we talked about trauma. We talked about ego. So we come into this situation, because it's a situation, I like calling it a situation. It's like, surprise, you're alive. And anyway, so we talked about
Soul contracts. Did we talk about?
we can come back to soul contract.
Okay.
So basically, in soul contract is part of while you're in heaven, because time is eternal. It's so different than here. Here is linear, or we'll just call it linear. We'll just leave it at that, just for simplicity. Your soul contract basically before coming to Earth in your body, then are coming into the physical realm inside of a body. Your life is played out before you. This is from beginning to end. It's your challenges, it's your big events, it's your lessons that you're going to learn. They're not fun. That's why they're called lessons. They're not called fun, or they'd be called fun. So I don't know for sure. I can only talk from my own experience as far as this was one journey that I talked about in the other videos. I believe that I think we come back a lot of times personally, but I only have memory of my previous life, so I can't speak outside that. But if I had to guess, I would guess that there's multiple lives, and that you actually you go through, you come into this life, and then you learn your lessons and the things that you need to learn for your soul growth, and then you go through your life, and then of course you die, and then I guess depending on how that went, then that depends where you go next. But again, I don't make up those rules. I don't run shit. I don't know, but that's my assumption. Okay. We'll talk about okay. Gosh.
And did you want to? Do we want to talk just very briefly about surface souls while we're
we can talk about surface souls. So surface souls basically would be you come in, and I only have 5 here just because it was quick, easy to draw. So that this can actually be more than that, but this would be like ancestral. This is like the core of you that comes here when you come here. The core of you, for survival reasons, for it may be social expectations. It may be there's a lot of reasons that you may not get to explore other parts of yourself that are there. There could be a lot of reasons, but surface souls would be basically souls that, and that's a term I came up with because I don't know another way to explain it. But surface souls are basically souls that move amongst the living, as opposed to the difference between the parts of your soul that you're born with. Surface souls can be like a really cool uncle or an uncool uncle. It can be a really cool like a grandmother. It could be like someone that you really aspire to be,
Yeah.
And then, then eventually you aspire, not only then you also become, and then that person becomes a part of yourself, part of that color of who they are becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
What's really beautiful to think about that is that surface soul that you have to realize, just because in your lifetime, because your lifetime is so short, that part of that soul, that they also aspire to be as well. So then that moves through time, right? And you don't see it in your lifetime, and you don't realize that in your lifetime, but then that part of that soul moves through them, moves through you. You picture it as grandma or whoever it was, but in actuality, it was also someone that they aspired to be. So then that continues to live and continues to move through the surface soul. So it's pretty cool.
That's so beautiful. I love the thought of actually inheritance of a lot of the aspects of who our great grandparents were, or our ancestors
Yeah.
become who are just sprinkled within us.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. But in order for that I think that person to be be that part and be that something we aspire to be, somewhere along the line, somebody did that work.
Yeah.
The work that we're talking about is basically, as you go through life, you realize that a lot like sobriety, everyone's low is different, and you're like, hey, this is not working. I need to do something different. So a spiritual awakening is where you're like with inside yourself, you're like, this is not working. I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not working. I need to figure something out. So you could say spiritual awakening, you could say midlife crisis, you could say
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it's coming to the realization that there are multiple parts of yourself that have not yet to exist yet, that want to exist and live through you and be you, as opposed to becoming who you thought you should be, other people expect you to be, or by situation you became. And it's like, it's just not a place to be. We want to have freedom of movement. We want to have freedom of choice. We don't want to be ran by a certain part of ourselves that was created in order to survive, and then that's the only thing that we ever become.
Right.
We're in survival mode, we're in trauma mode, our responses are trauma, our reactions are trauma. The work that basically you end up putting in is that forgiveness, right? And that's the toughest thing, because it's like, hey, this part of myself put myself through this, put my family through this. Now you want me to love this part of myself? Yeah, I do. I'm not saying forget, but I'm saying forgive, because without the forgiveness, that's where your self-value comes in. Your self-value allows you to give yourself all the wonderful things that life has to offer. And without that forgiveness, that value is not there. You're going to self-sabotage, you're going to feel unworthy, you're going to, it's just not ever going to work out. So you've got to do that work, and that is the work. And that's really a lifelong thing. It truly is. It's not like there's always things that are going to be coming up. So it's a lifelong thing.
And I think just one real quick, I think important thing to mention, and I don't expect we'll go into it at this very moment, but we've already talked about it, which is, I call it the loudness.
Oh yeah.
So throughout our lives, the pursuit of what I would say peace, but other things that we'll talk about,
Sure.
but is really trying not to have all these parts of us overwhelm us to where it's so loud that we cannot hear the universe.
Right.
And I'll leave that there. But that's important.
Yeah, we'll cover that later. The loudest, I think the loudest that I've ever experienced that is this realization of this, where you realize that you were not alone with yourself, that you're multifaceted, that there are many parts to yourself that make you you. And once this realization starts to happen, the comparison that we talked about was office cubicles,
Yes.
and the walls get lowered down,
Mhm.
and you never knew that there was 30 other people in the damn room.
Yeah.
And then it's like everyone's like looking at each other like, oh shit, no, I'm you. No, I'm you. No, I'm
Yeah.
you. Because there are going to be parts of yourself that will probably get the boot that really have no place in that office, in your office, and who you choose to be.
Mhm.
That is kind of heartbreaking because it's a part of yourself that uh, it's not going to make the cut. It's not who you want to be, you know,
Yeah.
and that's tough. And that part, may wreak havoc. May yeah, but there's got to be peace, and you got to find that peace, and that
Yeah.
is the work. That's the work. That's the work is coming together, harmony, forgiveness, and finding that peace within yourself. Um, until this happens, I know we're throwing a lot of things in here and recapping things that we've already talked about. Let's get to the good stuff, right? This is back to the trenches, but it's important
It is.
because it's part of just the process, unfortunately. But in this stage where we're still working through that, we're going to feel alone. We're going to feel like nobody understands me. Um, you know, you have this very singular view of yourself, and maybe you have a very singular part of yourself as opposed to all these other parts of yourself that even had a chance to live or exist. So as that changes, um, and then the forgiveness happens, and then the other parts of yourself start to exist. It's this really cool thing happens. So within yourself, you find that love, you find that peace, you find that compassion, you find that understanding, that forgiveness. You forgive yourself for the things you did, the reasons you did it. You did not know any better. You did not know any different. How you weren't aware of any of this. Yeah, no idea. You just like plopped into it. Now I have the fortunate for remembering this stuff and experience this stuff, but other people they're starting over here. There's no clue on this, right? So they're starting over here. They, they don't know, right?
Right.
They just
Right.
don't know. But once you do know, then it's like, oh, okay. So as this changes, and within yourself, that love and that compassion, it's really cool because instead of you just feeling like this little drop of water out in the desert, all alone, you start to wait a minute. Not only am I not alone within myself, but the love and compassion of myself, then that slowly moves out. And then you
Mhm.
start to realize, wait a minute, everyone else here is also going through the same thing. Now they're all in different levels of it, they're all in different
Yeah.
understanding of it, they're all in different stages, but I'm not alone. And then that's really cool because then instead of a single drop, you start to realize, wait a minute, um, I'm not only a drop, but I'm part of these other drops, and then all combine in this, and then this humanity and this human experience, human consciousness. That not only are you not a single drop, but you're actually not only part of the ocean, but you are the ocean, and that is really cool because that's really cool because you don't feel no longer do you feel this loneliness and this just man, it's just a feeling of like, man, nobody understands me. Nobody, how could I talk to someone about this? Like this kind of stuff, no one's talking about. They're not, oh yeah, um, but you might talk about it again, late night, whatever, but that's it. So where do we go from here? We got
So
so much to cover.
this is maybe one of my favorite parts. I think because I believe so much in sociology and I believe in just I think that all of us are so interconnected as human
100%.
beings that that piece of it is beautiful. So I'm hearing you say, so you're releasing these restraints that have kept you feeling like it was you by yourself,
Okay.
you alone in this world, dysfunctional, whatever it is that's um, making you tick at the moment. And now you've realized that other folks are not only feeling the same way, but instinctually almost, we were talking earlier about instinctually finding connections that you don't even have to verbalize. So connections through the world.
That's 100% right. Because again, it starts inward and it goes outward, that love and that all, that. So as you find that in yourself, you start to find it in other people. Your definition of love changes.
Yeah.
And when that definition of love changes and what you allow and you'll tolerate within yourself, then you won't tolerate any less around you from other people, but you find your people.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And then that loneliness and that feeling of isolation, man, you're not alone. And it's really cool because it's like this, it happens at the same time as this inner happens within yourself, then it also happens outward as well.
And the connections that you begin to have, like I said, I was sharing with my brother and my sister-in-law were sharing about the connections, nonverbal connections that people can actually communicate nonverbally, and because this type of connection is so powerful. But just the sense of connectivity as a human being that makes that you begin. Then I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what the beginnings of the part of how it feels to be a soul in heaven together might feel like. It's the warmth of having a sense of a human community.
Right. It's so yes, we're heading.
Yeah,
we're heading there.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you're right. So this episode was mainly focusing on. We had to get that out of the way because without that, without this, during this period and during this time, you're also changing. There's a lot of changes that are going on as your ego and this survival part of yourself that was running your show, that saw the world through a very narrow view, that starts to change as well. So as the spiritual part of yourself starts to come together and finds this harmony, it also raises a lot of questions like, hey, wait a minute, something else is going on. And what will also happen during this process as you start to connect with these other people and you find your people, there starts to be these really odd things that start happening. Hey, I was just about to text you. Hey, I was just thinking about that. Hey, but then it gets even crazier. Things start getting crazier. I always like to use the purple pen example. I was thinking about this purple pen, this purple pen, man, those are things that are pretty cool, and just thinking about purple pen, and then suddenly I bump into somebody at a convenience store randomly, someone I've never met, I don't know. And that dude is talking about a purple pen.
Yep.
Like, what are the odds?
Yep.
The odds, like, there is something going on here that is magical, is really crazy. And what is that? So let's move on to the next.
Oh, and I really do challenge folks that are listening to pay attention to that, because when I started paying attention to the connections, even just when you and I started working with just working on the podcast and talking about it, I feel like we shook the rug, like the dust started going up in the air, and that's where it starts spinning, and that's where I started paying more attention. I even told you I turned on the radio, and I kid you not, that the person on the radio said exactly what you said 15 minutes after I arrived to talk to you. And so pay attention to where the connections begin to happen and where the sparks begin to happen. Because when you start paying attention, you
realize it's not by chance.
No.
And that there's something, I call it, it's a beautiful harmony that's happening all around us. That connects every human regardless of distance. So, we can just dive it right in if you want. I guess we could lead that into. So, of course, we need to talk about this here, but we'll come into that somewhere. So I guess we can just, I don't even know there's so much to say on manifesting.
How about, would it be crazy to start at the rules of manifestation?
We could start with the rules.
and that way we have a baseline of what we should align ourselves with, and then go into that. And we could, I guess,
Yeah,
we could start there.
I mean, we'll just cover the whole thing. There's so much to say, and then I'm pretty tired.
I
I'll be honest
know.
with you. I didn't sleep good. I was so excited about today that I slept maybe 3 hours last night.
Same.
Because it's yeah, and I'll explain why later. But so we'll just start diving into manifestation, and then actually we'll cover what this is, and we'll cover what this is over here as well. So the rules to manifestation, and in manifesting. Wow, where to even start with that?
Well, what is manifesting in your opinion, or in how we might describe it?
Sure. So I would describe it as basically, okay, so over here, you create the narrative of your life, right? You say, I was born in this family, this is mom, dad, this happened, that happened. You create this narrative of who you are and where you're existing, okay? And you think, well, I'm alive, right? I'm here. All right, life's going, all right. But as this starts to change, and this whole thing starts to change, you start to realize there's actually a lot more going on. So in manifesting, it's saying, so in heaven, the best way to describe heaven, most people's reference to heaven is going to the doctor's office, or they think about, hey, before I was born, what was that like? Of course, with being reincarnated, I can tell you something different. But for the majority of people, what do they remember? Nothing, right? It's all darkness. It's, that's what I remember. So that's their reference. But heaven is not, it's not nothing. It's the opposite. It's everything. And when I say everything, it's to say everything that can or ever will be, all exist, has always existed, and currently exist. Okay?
At this moment.
At this moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, so when in manifesting, it's you coming to the realization, or you realize this narrative in which you've created, and this existence in which you think you exist, right? You've got your five senses, you've got this three-dimensional existence in the physical realm, and then you have linear time, and the time in which you're existing today, this moment, right now. Okay, you've got linear time. So in manifesting, you would say you're basically drawing from, you could say you're drawing from heaven. You're drawing from this eternal place, okay? So in the physical realm, see if I can get the wording right, because I wrote it out and I sent it to you. But in the physical realm, with linear time, whatever today's date is, whatever moment, whatever time it is, right? Our existence and our reality, from this phone to that chair to this building to the clothes I have on, the mics, its ability for a person to look past things in their current state, apply their free will, realize that the physical realm in which we exist, because you do have limitations, you have boundaries in that, but within that, we haven't even scratched the surface in that yet. So that's pretty cool. We're still pretty primitive, even with our fancy stuff, right? But realizing that it's all malleable, it's all flexible, it's all, it's completely wide open still. And that's where, when you come into your narrative of who you are versus where you cross a line, the line that you cross is that you realize that from this moment forward, it's all made up. It's all bullshit. Like all the rules that you made, you can, you can't, that's not possible, this is possible. Now, obviously, I'm not going to flap my wings and go fly off, or my arms, that's not going to happen. But the things that can happen and the things that can be are so, this is basically what this line right here is. This is what we're talking about. This is basically the timeline of the universe. So you take eternity, and it goes 1,000,000 miles each way. Your life, your existence, the perceived narrative of your life, which is the narrative of your life, is just a simple collection of perceptions, right? So you have a perception, you and I sitting next to each other having a completely different experience. So then you could even say, well, I'm 50 years old. I know what the hell's going on, right? Okay, let's break that down. So you have a perception that you had a memory that you had a decade ago. Each time you remember, it's a copy of a copy of a copy. Well, we know what that does when you copy of a copy of a copy. It only gets worse. It doesn't get
Yeah.
better. So then you have a collection of narratives or collection of perceptions that create this narrative to establish who you think you are and what's possible and what's not possible. Say you're 20, 30 years old and you say, man, you know what? The first 20, 30 years, it sucked. I'm no idiot. I know what the hell's going on. The next 20 or 30 years are going to suck too, right? You just made that up. It's all fucking made up. And it's like, if you're going to make up stuff, make up some fun shit.
Right.
Make up some cool shit. So in manifesting, basically, you're taking this narrative in which you've created and that you think that's happening, what you think's going on, and where you think that you're at. You bring it up here. And you've got this little bitty blip, tiny little blip that you call your life. And here's the expansion of the universe, 1,000,000 miles both ways, and possibilities, and everything that ever could, ever will be, that already exists, that already does exist, is there. So now, in manifesting, basically, is where you approach something and you say, hey, I'd like to, let's just say, travel. I like to go to Italy. Or I don't know, just go to Italy. Whatever your dream is. It can be a house. It can be new shoes. It doesn't have to be a material thing. It could be a relationship. It could be whatever it is that your heart's, it's important. It's your heart's desires, right? Whatever your heart's desires are. In your approach.
I think it has to be, when you say heart's desire,
Yeah.
I've come to realize it has to be really genuine.
It's your heart's desires. It's these parts of yourself also that haven't had a chance to exist or to explore. But it also goes back to your soul contract too. You and only you, and you really barely even know yourself. Your soul contract. Your soul contract is in your subconscious. So it's a very like it's the comparison to the dream, right? You have a dream, you know where you're at, you got your friends, you got your hobbies, you got your place you stay, and you wake up, you're like, what the hell was that? Your soul contract is like that. Subconsciously, you know. So, and you'll hear people where they'll say, I am not where I'm supposed to be. You know, they got this great family, they got this great job, they've got whatever, and they're miserable. And suddenly they want to move to Ohio or Florida or I don't know why Florida, but I don't know. But anyway, wherever, it's where all the crime shows are. You see cops, it's always Florida or Texas. But yeah, the soul contract. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking about cops. Why am I thinking about that show? Okay, I shouldn't even brought that up. Anyway, but it's something that subconsciously know. So that's also going on along with all this too, and this is also part of this. I think it's also part of our dreams that we know to be, that can be, that want to live and exist through us. But how are we going to navigate based on who we became, based off social things, based off horrible things that happened to us and all these other things? How are we going to navigate that and get past that and fulfill our contract and fulfill our life lessons and the things that we're supposed to do in this lifetime and learn? How are we going to navigate that? And that is life. That is what you're doing. That's what you're here doing. Whether you know it or not, whether you remember or not, that's okay. I even with my reincarnation, all my memories and all my experiences, I remember going through my soul contract, but the only thing I remember is I was going to go to prison, right? I remember I was going to go to prison, and I did, and then it was horrible. And then, but it was part of my contract. That's fine. It's not supposed to be fun. That's why it's called a lesson. I remember my mom. I remember, those are the things I remember from my contract.
Yeah.
The rest, I know it's 100% there. I know it's there. I know it's still here today, and I'm still going through that. I think doing this podcast was part of my contract.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing the podcast and being done. I want to go on with my life,
Exactly.
But I definitely am obligated to share. So
I completely agree. And I think, again, I just cannot emphasize how much it it means to listen, because I'll give you the example of the podcast. Like, I remember we would be at gatherings, family gatherings, and I'd see you, and out of nowhere, like I think at my mom's end of life, like at my mom's life celebration, I was like, hey, we really need to, and we would connect very briefly because somehow something inside of us said, listen to this and speak it.
Yeah.
Because something is in my ear, and I think it's my dad, but whatever it is, I am listening and saying, I need to do this, and I need to connect with Donnie about it.
And it's funny you mentioned that as well. I knew there was something. I didn't know what it was. Right. I had no idea, because I don't, but I knew it was something.
Yeah.
So I try to follow that and try to listen to that. Of course, and that evolved into Here and Now.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a podcast. I've never even done a podcast.
Right. And even our roles in this, we really kind of were like what roles are we playing here?
Exactly.
Not playing, but how do we support each other, and how do we tell this story, and what does this evolve, and what does this look like?
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that we're doing it.
Same. And it's just one example, and I know hopefully you'll give some examples of your experiences, but it's one example of how, like, if anyone is paying attention and writing their notes and saying, okay, how do I manifest? Listen.
Yeah.
And don't close your door when you're speaking, when you're explaining this. And when I was thinking about your explanation of what manifestation is, and I look at that time, the universe timeline, I see myself, or I see someone walking through a hallway and having the opportunity to open a door, or walking through and not opening the doors. And you just walk through all the way to the end of the hallway. You get to the end of the hallway, and that's what happens, and you're done at the end of the hallway, right? But if you have something inside that says, open that door, and you open that door, and then all of a sudden there's endless options of possibility that you can honestly fuck with. Like, you're going to probably explain, you can not manipulate, but you can experience. That is that timeline of universe for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You can access that abundance, and you can access that unknown to you, and it's totally there, and you totally can. So hopefully, I don't know if we kind of explained. I think we explained it with that.
Yeah.
It's basically, I think we've touched on it. Let's see, what would another way of manifesting explain? So in manifesting, your part in it is so small. You could say universe, you could say God, you could say whatever you want to fill in that blank with that word. That's doing the heavy lifting.
That's where your shirt comes in.
I'll explain this. Yeah. Don't try harder, try less. Yeah, because after all, the heavy lifting it's not done by you. That's why you show gratitude, right? You don't go like, oh, look how badass I am. My shit don't stink, right?
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Like, you're such a small part in this. Like, even if you didn't exist, it already exists. So that glory goes to that.
Yeah.
Not to self, right? I mean, you can be proud of yourself, I guess. You can be like, oh, look at me. I did my work. Look at me. I struggled through all this. I allowed this. I allowed this to come to me. And I allowed this to be part of my life, because that's what you're doing. So let's see what else. I don't know if that describes manifesting. Manifesting basically is your spirit having an experience through your body in the physical realm, and in your body, you're very limited to what's actually happening all around you. You're in a situation here, whether you realize it or not. You're in a situation here, the situation that you're in is your soul's now in your body. You're now the rules in which you came from, or which you're how that is completely different than the rules that are here now. It's hard. Like this existence and this being in this body, it's not easy, and this whole process is not easy. So I got kind of lost in that. But it's basically, it's going to be the challenge in manifesting and allowing things to be in your life is one, working through this, but it's more than that. I guess we can, gosh.
I wonder if you could
There's so much to say.
I know there is, and I'm wondering. I know it's just, and it's very exciting, but there's so many aspects of it. I'm wondering if I would love to hear one of your examples, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
So many examples.
If you could share one example of what it looked like when you practice manifestation, and maybe plug in how you did that.
I'm trying to think of an example. I don't want to use a money example because I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I almost think praying. Of course, I'm not a religious person, so I don't understand all that. I don't know. You could say like, of course, that's praying. I don't know if that's really manifesting. I really don't know.
What about your bucket list or the car or?
Yeah, it's there's so many examples. So many examples. It's almost like I'm not embarrassed. It's kind of I'm overwhelmed with gratitude about all those things.
Yeah.
And those things weren't me. It was me allowing it to be, but the creator of it and the existence of it, that's really, and that's really where the credit is. And so for me to talk about it almost feels like I would be bragging or something, but I know people want to hear the story of that kind of stuff, or an example. There's so many examples. There's daily examples. There's like it's crazy, because basically if you let's talk about the rules of manifestation. Let's just
let's do that.
and then maybe I'll give an example. I prayed for my wife. When I was in prison, I prayed for a specific type of person that I wanted in my life. And when I met my wife, she was it. Like she was exactly what I had hoped for. So that, but I don't know if I'd say that's manifest. I didn't even have the concept of manifesting there. I was praying. I was like, I am not a praying person, but I was so at the bottoms of the bottoms. Like I was like, man, I'll try anything. Like I don't want to bother God, or it's like you got a lot going on there, but I need some help here because what I'm doing, my shit's not working, but again, spirituality, I think it's a lot like sobriety, where you hit your bottom.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to make some changes. I need to figure this shit out, because if I don't figure it out, I'm never going to become who I know I can be. I'm never going to have those experiences that I know I can. Those parts of yourself that haven't got to live yet.
Yeah.
I want to experience. I want to live that. I want to be that, and I am, and that's really great. So, let's talk about rules of manifestation. So, the rules. Your role is, you have to know your role. Your role is to dream, right? Your role is to dream. That's first. You have to know where you're going if you're going to get there. If you don't know where you're going, it's kind of hard to get there, right?
Yeah.
What I would do at times is I would just do practice runs. I would say, oh, okay, well, let's finish with the rules, and I'll talk about practice runs.
Okay.
The first rule is your role is to dream. Okay. Secondly, the who's and the how's is none of your business, right? So what that means is that the who's and the how's is none of your business. Now, this is how I check myself whether am I drawing from my preconceived idea of the way that I think the world is, or this narrative that I've created,
Yeah.
or am I being completely open? So the narrative that I've created, so here's the little egos here, comes up here, and here's my little bleak of my life, right? This little bitty dot, and then eternity, a million miles each way, and all possibilities, everything that can ever will be, that exist, that currently do, and that are. So, so I can say, okay, my role is to dream, moving forward with that dream. Now, if I'm asking the who's, the only way I can ask the who's and the how's, it's something to be. How is this going to be? Like, say, I started production company, right? I'm working on a documentary, traveling the world doing that. If I, for 1 second, started thinking about the who's and the how's, then I'm trying to navigate and narrow down my perception of what it's going to look like and how it's to be, while at the same time cutting myself short of all the possibilities of how it can be. So anytime I find myself asking the who's and the how's, I know I'm going the wrong direction, because then here I am in this little bleak of my life. This, I call it my bowl of spaghetti, which I talked about in part 2, the bowl of spaghetti. My collection of perceptions. And you got to realize you are in a situation. The situation is you're simply alive, right? Your spirit's inside your body. You're alive, and you're limited with your 5 senses in this 3-dimensional existence. You have a huge filter shoved on top of your soul, and that's your situation. It's kind of a fucked up situation. It really is to find yourself in, because after all, you came from this. You came from where everything's possible, infinite, everything, to, oh, where the fuck am I? And so anyway, so in moving forward, I'll say, okay, I want to do this, right? So am I drawing from this preconceived idea of the way that I think it is, my limitations, I can't do, or whatever? I'm trying to figure it out, right? Instead, am I asking the who's? If I'm asking the who's in the house, I'm right here in this little tiny dot of my perception of what reality is and what's happening.
Because it's drawing from the only thing you know to be a who and a how. It's not.
That's right.
Yeah, it's drawing from that very small tiny window of what of the you might know, and what that part of your soul knows. It's not even what all, and so you're giving yourself a very limited answer. You're not even asking yourself. You're already giving yourself the answer, which is extremely limited.
It's super limited, right? So instead I said, I'll say, hold up. I'm in a situation here, and I explain the situation. So then I say, okay, if I'm not asking the who's and the how's, that's because it's not my business. It never was my business, right? The universe is so vast and the possibilities are so vast. It'll come, it'll happen. Don't worry about that. And you let that go, right? And if people want to control things, they want to run shit. Yeah. They want to control it. And it's like, it's not in your control. Let it go. And by letting go, then more comes to you. Because after all, you're drawing from this instead of that. Instead of this, right?
So I'm sorry, Donnie. Okay. I just want to go back real quick. So for example, let's say that it's me that has that wants to make a film.
Yep.
Or a documentary.
Yep.
And so if I am asking the who's and the how's, I might say, for example, oh, I need to know my budget. I need at least $50,000. I don't know. I'm just making up a figure. At least $50,000. And so then I am restricting myself to that point, which then it limits myself. So instead of asking the who's and the how's, I would say, I'm going to make a documentary.
That's it.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yep. Right. I don't need to know how. I don't need to know who. It doesn't matter. I know it's going to happen. In fact, it already exists. It's already there. So I'm restricted in my timeline, in linear time, in realizing and accepting this and being a part of that. So it's me allowing it to come to be and letting that draw to me. It's already there. I know that sounds a funny way to look at it, but it's allowing it to be. And so it's like you're getting out of your own way and not restricting it, and by having a defined idea how that's going to look or how it's going to come to be. Now you have your dreams, and that's what you have. But the rest, you got to be completely open to the possibilities, because there's so many possibilities unbeknownst to you. Let it come to you. Let have trust in that there is that beautiful harmony that's all around us, and that we're all linked regardless of the distance. And the universe listens. You know, the bottom line question is, does the universe listen to our heart's desires? And of course, the answer is 100% yes. But we'll talk about that here in a second, a little bit more.
Okay.
The other, let's see, we'll go on with the next rule. I know we've been stringing this out here. Our role is to dream. The who's in the house is not our business. The next part, of course, is you have to feel worthy to receive it, right?
Oh,
You have
that's a big one.
It is. But if you do your work, you're like, hey, I love you. Hey, I love you too. Hey, you're awesome. Hey, you sucked at one time, but no, we're all right. So, so then you're starting to explore these other parts of yourself, and then you're like, you know what? I forgive myself. I love myself. I am worthy to receive. I'm worthy for all the great things that life has to offer, right? So in that narrative in which we create it, and this preconceived idea of what we think that's happening and that life is, and our limited ability of what it looks like, you let that go, right? You're letting that go, you know? I kind of lost my thought there for a second. There's so much to say. It's so much to say. So anyway, so you don't self-sabotage. You feel worthy to receive it. Now, there's also, it's important here too, that there's a direct correlation with manifestation and what you're allowing to be in your life based on this forgiveness. It's super important to know that, and that can creep back up at later times, because there's always work to do with yourself.
Yeah.
There's always work to do. So,
so if you're deserving, if you are like, I deserve what's coming, or I deserve to have received this gift of abundance, then it keeps coming, right? Or then it comes. If I say I don't deserve it, what can happen?
So I guess I like the analogy of I use a silver tray. This is, and we'll continue with the rules, but this is my example with the universe and the relationship with this whole thing. So say if you say your dream is a cup of water, and we talked about this earlier. Your dream was a cup of water. Man, if I could just have a cup of water, the sun would be brighter, sky would be bluer, grass would be greener. If I could just have this cup of water, and that cup of water could be a documentary, it could be a sandwich, it could be a house, it could be an awesome relationship, it could be a new car. I don't know, whatever the hell you want, whatever it is, and it didn't have to be material things. And what's that saying? The best things in life money can't buy. I love that saying. So, oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought thinking about that, because now I started thinking about other stuff.
So yeah, the cup of water.
Oh yeah,
and
thank you so much.
Want one cup of water.
Okay, so you're asking for this cup of water, right? You're like, man, if I could just have a cup of water, it'd be like the best thing ever, right? So the funny thing about the universe is the universe does listen to our heart's desires. I believe that with 100% certainty. Okay. The funny thing about the universe is that the universe, not only you have this idea right here, right? You got this little bitty bleak of your perception of what's possible, right? So you ask for this cup of water, and then that thing universe, right? It'll show up with a gallon of water on a silver tray, right? It shows up and says, here you go. You look over and you see that gallon of water. Okay, you're only thinking this cup. And the damn universe, sorry, I don't mean to damn the universe, because I'd like to make it home tonight, but the universe has a sense of humor, no doubt, has a gallon of water sitting there. So you look at that gallon of water and you go, hey, wow, that's That's a lot more than I was asking for. I had barely did the work to forgive myself for all this past shit. And I was only up to this cup of water, and now you're here with this gallon? Are you fucking kidding me? All right, so you got some choices. You can say yes or no, of course. You can say, you know what, that's not even possible. I didn't even think that cup of water was possible. So that a gallon, that's not even fucking real. The universe will go, yep, you're right. It goes away. You could say,
I don't deserve it.
You can say, I don't deserve it, right? I did this, I did that. I'm a piece of shit. Whatever. I don't deserve that. And the universe goes,
Okay.
okay. You could say, you know what? I'm a giver, right? That's too much. I'm a giver, right? I'm not a taker. I don't want to take from someone else, right? I'm a giver. The universe goes, okay.
Okay.
Right? You could say, hey, you know what? Everyone around me, they're not living their dreams. They're not pursuing this. They're not exploring this. They're not allowing this to happen. You know what? I don't want to be a stain on a white sheet. Fuck no, not me. I'm getting put me in that boat. You know, no. The universe goes, okay, goes away. All right. There's a lot of reasons you could say no to the universe. There's a lot of reasons you could say no to that. Well, let's say you say yes. All right. You say yes. You say, you know what? That's a lot more than I was asking for, apparently. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and I'm going to receive this gift, and I'm going to accept it with gratitude. Because after all, this came out of left field. There's no way in hell that I didn't do this. Like this, the heavy lifting wasn't done by me.
Right.
There's no. I had no. I don't understand the link. How this even happened.
Yeah.
You know. Of course, it's a beautiful harmony that's happening all around us that links us all together. It's there and it's real. So you say yes. Let's say you say yes. You accept that gift. You accept it with gratitude. You're humble. Obviously, you don't go, look how badass I am. At least you could, but it's gross. So a few things are going to happen. Now, with you saying no, right? You said no to that gallon of water. There's also other reasons, right? You've established what's possible, and this perception and this narrative of who you are, right? And the world in which you live in which you thought you lived in, right? If you say yes to that gallon, well, hold up. What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
What is going on here? You know, there's some weird shit happening here. This is, I don't understand this. You know, but you get over that, or you could also accept it, and you could have the feelings of like, holy shit, there is magic in the world. Holy shit, this is phenomenal. Hell, then you realize I could have done this 10 years ago. Then you feel guilty again. You're like, why the hell did I wait 10 years? I could have done this 10 years ago. I allowed this to give this to myself. Okay, you get over that too, let's say. Okay. The funny thing is that you're going to end up realizing is that this little narrative in which you create it in this reality in which you think that you existed.
That teeny tiny
little
light.
thing, right? That was your perception with that cup, right? That was an unimaginable amount with this gallon. But what you don't realize going into this is that there's a fucking tanker around the corner, and that not only is there a tanker, but there's about 1 million tankers around the next corner.
Full of water.
Full of water. Full of water.
Yeah.
Right. And so the balancing act, of course, is your ability to look past this narrative of who you thought you were and what was possible, what your reality is, what your existence is, and what the hell is going on. So it's actually, there's a direct correlation between that and your willingness to realize that it's actually endless abundance. It actually already exists. It's actually already there. And it's your willingness just to simply allow it to come to you and be a part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And where that falls, and in that willingness, it's exactly where our lives are, including my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to merge those worlds, to merge that, and to realize that, and it takes time because there's a lot of slippery slopes in there. There's you could have delusions of grandeur, you could have self images of God, that you are God, right? You could think you run shit. It can take some weird ass paths, So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I won't say who. I know I've shared a couple of folks that I really feel.
Oh, Michael? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I just made that up. By the way.
I feel like I know certain people knew this and have become extremely powerful.
Sure.
And yeah, it can become something. It's just a when you open that door in my brain, when you open
Right.
that door, there's no going back. You know what you know,
Right.
and there are slippery slopes.
Sure.
But now the world of abundance is there.
It totally changes. So if you come from a mindset of abundance is what you'll find.
Yep.
Man, there's no shortage of nothing, man. It's no problem. This is great. You come from a place of scarcity, man, ain't nobody got no jobs, politicians are doing that, this and that. It's like,
that's what's happening.
and that's right.
Yep.
Right. It's your understanding of that. And it's also realizing the ego, this little thing right here. This thing wants to be right. That part of yourself wants to be right. That part of yourself, that's why it's called ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to draw the information to it that says, I knew I was right. I told you, right? And then the information that goes against it, what? There ain't no other parts of you. Hey, what the fuck are you talking about? That's bullshit. Very bullshit, or whatever. I don't know, whatever it says. I don't know what it says. It pushes away that information that conflicts with that, because the ego wants to be right, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather be wrong. So,
and you mentioned, Donnie,
mm-hmm.
you mentioned while we were talking about receiving the gallon of water.
Yep.
And I love when you always say, and I will always receive you. I will always receive. You always share with me, and you're like, I will never say no.
Right. So now, you're right. So every day, this is my existence every day. It's also the reason I sleep very little at night. Right. Imagine this life. Imagine, all this. All this, right? All this, right? Imagine waking up. You already know you're not going to self-sabotage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love yourself. You forgive yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love others. You know that you're depending on yourself, and your loved ones depend on you.
Right.
And you're going to give it to yourself, and you're going to give those things to others. Now, you can't manifest for others, right? But what you can do is have an abundance to give to others. And that was one thing I was going to touch into when you said, when a person would say no, that, oh, that's too much. I'm a giver. I'm not a taker.
Right.
You know what? If you're a giver, the more abundance that you have, the more that you can give.
Exactly.
So take it. Say yes. Give that to yourself, and then give that to others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Give that to those that cannot do for themselves. Mm-hmm. The young, the elderly, the mentally not capable of taking care of themselves, or not able to be there for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the stronger you are in that, and the more abundance you have, the more that you can share. So it's not a selfish thing. It's actually a selfless thing.
Right.
So unfortunately, we cannot manifest for other people. We cannot give other people self-value. If we could, that'd be awesome. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, me too.
But I can't. All this work that we're talking about here, only they can do that. Mm-hmm. That's just it's the unfortunate way it is. No matter how much you love them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
And gratitude was one of the things you shared. And is that one of the rules?
100%.
Gratitude. And so we've got, you have to dream. Mm-hmm. Don't ask the who's in the hows.
Yep.
gratitude.
We're going to hit the next thing.
Okay.
But let me back up. I was talking about basically how I wake up every day and how
Oh,
we're
yes,
talking about
yes,
the
yes, yes.
And water and stuff like that. So I know I'm not going to self-sabotage. I know I'm going to have gratitude. I have crippling gratitude. My wife makes fun of me because actually most people make fun of me out of love, not out of meanness. That my problems are not. They call them Donnie problems. Donnie problems. I'm crippled with gratitude because I'm so overwhelmed with like love and like the just all of it and the gratitude of how awesome life is. A life I never thought I would. It's so far beyond anything I ever imagined and could be that it's just every moment it's almost crippling because like my heart gets so full. It's like, oh, it hurts. Like it's like seeing a cute puppy or something, like I don't know.
Oh, you want to
But
just pinch it.
it's just so much. It's so
Yeah,
much. So I'll go
I
sit in a
feel
room by
that.
myself and just try to pull myself together and then go back out, but it's crippling gratitude, which is, if that's your problem, that's the problems you want to have for sure.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to self-sabotage. I'm gonna have gratitude. Um, let's see, what's the other thing, and then knowing that there is endless abundance, right? And I also know that whatever I'm going to ask for, that cup, I know there's a gallon. I know there's 10 tankers sitting around the corner, right? I don't care if it's 1,000. I'm going to say yes, right? There's two things. That whole thing that I described, um, that continues to grow and grow and grow and expand and change. This little line right here and this little, all that starts as that changes. Oh my gosh, I got so much to say still. I get lost because I get so excited, and I'm very tired. So that's a great combination. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I'm tracking.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Catch me back at where I'm at then, because I am.
So with gratitude. So you wake up.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of, but you're
Yeah.
just feeling,
I
and
know what it was.
yes.
Yeah. So two things will continue. One, that you believe, right? And you don't self-sabotage. As long as you don't self-sabotage or not feel unworthy, and you believe, those two things, those cups of water, those gallons, that just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you decide either you don't believe or you're not worthy. But it won't stop. I feel with all my heart that it will continue to grow. Your dreams, what's possible, it continues to grow and it never stops. Like once I decided that I'm going to do these things. Other things too that I'm like, oh, the universe is going to do the heavy lifting. Now, do I work 12, 14 hours a day? I do, but that's not heavy lifting. It's something totally different. The big things that are happening in my life, the big exciting things, the people that I meet, that huge part of it has nothing to do with that. It's like totally separate. Now, am I going to show up and I'm going to be an active participant? 100%. Am I going to pursue my passions? 100%. Yeah.
And that's important. That's important for you to share, because I have had someone ask me, "Oh, so does that mean I just manifest and I'll sit back and let it happen?"
You are not going to sit on your sofa, eating bonbons or your favorite yummy snack.
Yeah.
And someone's going to knock on your door with all your dreams. It's not going to happen. You have to be an active participant in this.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to be an active participant. You have to pursue your passions. What's really great, what'll end up happening, I tend to pursue my passions and what's fun. That's how I guide that is my guiding light, right? Man, this is fun. I'm driving this fire truck. I'm whatever the hell I'm doing, some weird ass shit. Whatever it is. And then one day, suddenly, people are paying you stupid money to do something you love. Yeah. And it's like, these people don't even know I would do this shit for free. And they are paying you buku money. And it doesn't have to turn into that, but I'm saying it absolutely can.
Yeah.
And then that work environment that you're going to that's toxic, that people that's also a driver for me. Since I'm pursuing happiness and joy, I don't even say happy and joy, I'd say fun, then man, I don't want to be around people that don't make you feel good, you know,
Yeah.
that I don't want to be around it. It's like I want to be around people that, man, you leave them and man, you feel energized.
Yeah.
You know, are they charging your batteries? Are they draining your batteries? You know?
And they're probably those same people that you're connecting with right there. You know, they're feeding. I feel like, folks, your energy,
Yes.
it's circular. And so you're
Yes.
connecting at all times with other folks and you're surrounding yourself.
That's right. Because as this changes within yourself and that understanding, and it's almost a really funny thing is that as this happens internally with this and you do this work and this changes and you become these other parts of yourself and you pursue these dreams and all this other stuff and that forgiveness and that all that stuff happens, you start finding the other people that did the same thing.
Yeah.
And that they're in similar or same level of that wonderment and that excitement about life. And they're right there with you and that you're seeing eye to eye. And it's like, man, it's magical when that happens. I break it down really simply. It's people that find joy in other people's joy, right?
Yeah.
That's the simplest way of the people that I want to be around.
And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but have you ever, I'm sure this is like, I've been in spaces where someone walks in and they're just walking in, their presence fills the room with positive energy. 100%. I've also been in a room where someone walks in and it's like
darkness.
Shit. It all was like tanks, and I'm like, right. No, hell no, I got to get out of here.
Time to go.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And that I feel is those souls.
Yeah.
Learning. Not to say that anyone is perfect, because we're all
in different stages in this whole process. I'm not mad, but I'm not going to be around it, and I won't tolerate it. I don't tolerate it within myself, and I won't tolerate it from you. And that's okay. I wish you well, but I'm going the other way.
Yeah, I feel that. Can I bring you back? You shared the example on the example that you could say no. And one of the things that filled my heart when I first heard you share that story with me was I was like, oh no, what? I better not say no, because then I'll just fuck it all up and then I will never have it back. Yeah. But surprise, surprise.
That's right. So, right. So the surprise is, where I talk about the universe comes along with this silver platter, here's a gallon of water. And you can be like, hell no, I suck. Take that away. Or whatever you'd say, I don't know. What's really beautiful about the universe, and what's really beautiful about that, because that comes from this eternal place, and it comes from this place of everything that can ever will be already exist and actually currently exist in this one place, right? At any point, if you decide, you say, you know what, I've done the work. I forgave myself.
I'm back.
I'm back. All right. I'm back to dreaming. I'm back to living again. I'm excited about life. I'm going to try again. And the universe will come right back with that silver tray.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready. You can say no 1,000 times in a row. But when you're ready to say yes, it's right there. It never left. It was waiting the whole time.
That is so hopeful for me. And that's just so hopeful in a world where you can fall, you can trip and fall and you can get back up
100%.
And do it again and
what's
work on it.
Absolutely. What's funny about that is that at any moment you decide, right? At any moment you decide, you can't change the past. You just can't. Things happen, or you perceived how it happened, or whatever it is. Okay, it's fine. But this moment right now and forward, it's all made up.
Yeah.
Make up something fun.
Yeah.
Because it's all made up anyway. One of the things I like saying is you don't have to pick and choose in life. You can have both, and it's okay. Because it's all fucking made up.
Yep.
Of course, I take that a little far. You might end up with 15 buses like I do, or 4 fire trucks. So I take it a little far, but that's okay.
Yeah, and take it as far as you want.
Right. I guess it wasn't harming anybody, you know.
Right.
So let's talk about we still have one more thing on manifesting. No WWFs, right? So no.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah. So this is super important. So you've got your role is to dream. No self-sabotaging. The who's and the hows aren't your business. You accept the gift with gratitude. But the other thing is that the universe speaks in a whisper. That's super important to realize that. Because the universe speaks in a whisper, you have to have, like people talk about meditation, they'll talk about quiet, they'll talk about, bringing peace, right? Internally, right? There you go. So all these parts of you need to shut the hell up. Mm-hmm. Because if they're all yelling, they're all screaming in your head, you're probably not going to hear that.
Right.
You're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear when the universe says, hey, you should call this person. Hey, you should probably take a left instead of a right here. Mm. Hey, you should, whatever it is, I get that, you become ultimately you become a giver and receiver of that. And it's really beautiful too. Mm-hmm. I can actually give an example here. Not me receiving, but giving. And it's not like, oh, look at me. That's not where I'm going with this, because I didn't know either at the time. It's a story to kind of explain it.
Because manifestation is about opening yourself up to the universe. So it's about, so you're at a place where you're not just take. It's about
right, listening. Or allowing to, right.
Yeah, listening right. to the universe.
It goes both ways. So it's a beautiful harmony that links us all together regardless of distance. That's super important, because that beautiful harmony is, hey, you got your dreams too. Hey, they got their dreams too. They got their dreams too. We all got our dreams. We all got our things that we hope to be in our lives. And for some people maybe this, some people maybe that, but it's all together, and it's that beautiful ocean, mm-hmm. and you're part of that. So in my case, I was just driving along. This is maybe about a year ago, and he might actually be watching this video, so I'm not going to name names or whatever, but he'll know. And this is funny, actually. He had said something on Facebook, and I'll share that too. I'm driving along, and then in my head I hear, send so-and-so $200. What the fuck? This is some guy I know on social media. I never met this guy. I don't know this guy. I mean, he seems like an okay guy, but I don't know his family. I don't know, I was like, are you serious? Send him $200. Okay, fine. When I pull over, I'll do it. So I pulled over. I go to the Messenger, and you can send money through Messenger. If you have your bank link to it, you can send money. So I was trying to decide what to say. Right? It's like, he's a car guy. I was like, fucking, I don't know. Car parts. I don't fucking know, right? Maybe he wants something for his car. I don't know. Boom, I sent it. He sends me back this long emotional response. Why did you do that? Mm. How did you know? They were doing really bad. He unfortunately lives in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, I think opportunities are pretty limited. We're here we live. There's opportunities everywhere. But anyway, his son had recently got a job, but they didn't know how he was going to get to work, and not even gas money. So he was just really emotional about it, and didn't understand why. I'm like, how can I explain to him? I don't even fucking know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And it's like, this is not a loan. this is a gift. This is
Mhm.
not, you don't owe me anything. Don't worry about it. You know, I don't know how to explain it to you. Basically, I texted him, but something told me to do that, and I did it. And he was just like, thank you so much. He really appreciated it. So he actually he made a comment. This was maybe a year and a half ago. He had um, he had given some money to someone, because a lot of times I'll tell people, you don't owe me anything, just forward it. One day when you have abundance, and I'll tell them, look, I was, now I'm going to get hit up for a bunch of loans. Okay, I'm just joking. So why you're passing out money? But if I receive an excess of blessings, I don't need shit. I don't need stuff. I don't give a
Mhm.
fuck about stuff. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the car. I don't care about none of that stuff. I never did. I only care about people. So in that, I share that, because it makes huge differences in people's lives. But then I just ask, hey, you don't owe anything. Just one day, if you have excess, just share the blessings with someone else. Just forward it. You know. So um, he did.
Aw,
He's doing
that's
better.
so
He's doing
cool.
better now, and he'd given money away, or he helped somebody, whatever he did. Right. He posted it in a very nice way. Not, he didn't like, hey, whatever. It was very, very, very. What do you want to call it? He had a lot of couth. In other words, he wasn't bragging, but it was just a really opening experience for him to basically say, the more you give, the more you have, is what he said.
Yes.
And I said, I made a comment, like, I was like, exactly. Or I said, bingo.
Bingo
Right.
is
I
right.
said
I was
bingo.
just
Right.
thinking that.
And he replied, he's like, I learned it from you.
Hmm.
I was like, oh,
That's
you
so
got
cool.
me. uh, um,
Oh,
but it's true, because you're coming from a place of abundance,
yeah.
and manifesting. It's knowing. Actually, is the camera still going?
Yes,
Okay,
it
good.
is. I've been
Okay.
checking.
Right, you never know. Uh, but it's knowing that, um, that again, it's rewriting this narrative, and then opening and realizing the possibilities is actually completely, there is no shortage. There is complete abundance, and it's not that big a deal. And by you giving, I've always found that too, by giving, that it's twofold. It's also you realizing that it's no big deal. It's not only is it
Right.
no big deal, but there is no shortage. Because after all, if you come from abundance, there's only opportunity. You come from scarcity, there's only scarcity.
Hmm.
So it's when changing your mindset, and then realizing that there's a lot more going on than just than what you previously thought, in this process here. Um,
And these are such beautiful parts of this experience, because I'll keep saying this, practicing that. I don't care if you have $10 and I don't care if it's not money,
right,
whatever it
right, right,
is.
right.
Like if you have
Money's
half
just an easy example.
a
Right,
donut, let's
right, right.
say, if you're practicing that, there you go. You're moving towards it.
100%.
Hmm.
I used to do practice runs. I started talking about that earlier. I would do practice runs, and I'd be like, okay, let's see. Okay, these are the rules. My role is to dream. Okay, dream check. Anyway, I would start off small. I didn't need anything. I was just curious, I guess, or I was just like, really?
I did this too.
Is it really this simple?
Mhm.
Are you fucking shitting me? Is it really this easy?
Mm.
Okay, all right. So now I got my dream. Okay, now I'm not going to self-sabotage. Got that down. Am I going to believe? Yeah, of course I'm going to believe. That's no problem. Got that down. Am I going to ask who's in the house? Nope. In fact, no. I don't care. It's not my business,
Mhm.
right? In fact, it's easier. I'm like, oh shit, less I got to do.
Right.
Yeah, knock yourself out, universe. You badass, you, right? You got endless abundance. It's all there. It's no big deal, right? uh, and then um, I do have a natural ability um, to be quiet in my head, as far as like quieting my voices in my head, or bickering or arguing. Actually, I thought there was something wrong with me.
Mm.
I thought that I was like super on the spectrum or something, which I probably am. But but I thought that it was actually a handicap thing. Like, oh, there's just, like the cartoons, the wind's blowing through your ears, right? um, but I totally realized that it's not, that it's actually quite the advantage, right? Because the universe does speak in a whisper, and the quieter it is, the more you're going to hear. That's actually what my wife says a lot. She goes, the difference between you and me is that you listen to the universe and it talks to you. I'm like, well, I'm actually just lazy, and if all I gotta do is listen and make it quiet in my head, okay, I got it. I can do that.
I
Um,
I think that's beautiful, and I feel like as someone who has, like we were talking about this, so I have quite the opposite issue, which is that at any given point, my brain is firing like a million things and thoughts and voices. And so
Right.
quiet has never been, I always toss it up to like being one of 5 siblings and living in a 3-bedroom house and just having like
Sure.
a lot of loud stuff
Yeah,
happening.
sure.
But the truth is it's maybe, I don't know what, maybe, but whatever it is in my brain, it's always loud.
Right.
And quiet seems so wonderful. And so the reason I wanted to say that is because for maybe someone who has a hard time having quiet, what we practiced a little bit ago when we started, when I
Right.
came in, my energy, I was just really anxious
No,
because
both of us were. We
yeah,
were in a good place. We were in the right place for what we wanted to
oof,
talk about.
yeah.
In fact, we were even talking about, like, could we even are we even in the place to share this and do what we want to do? We know what we want to do,
Exactly.
but shit's chaos.
It
Shit's,
is.
right.
And I think when your brain is constantly like so loud, for those of us who have that, like that moment of a grounding that I did really helped me, and that
Oh,
also
100%.
takes practice. And so I want to just share, folks, because I don't want anyone to be like, well, that can't be me because there's always loud in my brain.
Right.
There is, and it's okay to practice grounding to a
Sure.
point where you get to a point where you begin to be able to listen.
I think in meditation, I also think that I don't know the term for it. I know there's a term for it, and it's a real thing, but it's where you kind of find Zen moments, and like I do that in working on cars. Like, I relax by working on cars.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
because there's this, whether it's instant gratification for the addict in me, but
yeah.
but yeah. So that could be gardening, that could be with my wife, hiking in nature.
Oh right.
So there's different ways that people do it, but absolutely pursue those ways, because it's of the utmost importance. It's as important as any step. Um, yeah, you've got to find that quiet and that peace within yourself. Practice it. Practice it. I can do it pretty much at a drop of a hat. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see here. Yep, totally quiet. Like, all I could hear was
Wow,
all
I
I could hear was
cannot believe that.
all I could hear was the AC. And it makes it's weird.
That's
But it's
such a
okay.
gift.
It's not a bad thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's a
But
it's a
yeah.
gift.
But yeah, and I have to practice. I do practice more and more, because like I'll be like, okay, I want it to be quiet, and then I'll hear someone like, scratch my butt, like, what the fuck? What are you? Shut up, or or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
whatever it's anyway, whatever it says. I don't know. It's a really bad example. But it's always some ridiculous shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so all right, I think we covered that pretty good. So let's move on to, actually, I was really happy with this part here. I think that covered pretty good,
Yeah,
because I was really
agree.
kind of worried about it, because it's so much to say, and we had so much to say on that. Oh, so the other thing with manifesting, I wanted to say, the example with the milk. Have I talked about that yet?
No.
Okay. So with manifesting, it's with the rules of it. So those are just the rules, like that I've felt at work and that are dead on consistent. Back to the practice ones that I did, they 100% happen. And then each time I did it, I was like, that's pretty funny. Like that's it. That's totally it. So then I would ramp it up more, bigger and bigger. It got to a point where it's embarrassing. Like I was embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed because I don't want to be I don't want to be a stain on a sheet either. I don't want to. I don't know, but and on the flip side, like, and I told my friend this. He's an older gentleman, super religious, great guy. I had told him, I had one had come through, and I shared with him that I felt I felt embarrassed, and he said, why do you feel embarrassed? I said, well, here I am. We're all sitting at this table. This is the analogy that I gave him. I said, all you guys have crumbs on your plate. Not only is my stomach like over full, but I look down and there's another loaf of bread. And I'm like, holy shit! Like what? Like it's embarrassing,
Yeah.
And he's like, don't you ever feel like that? He goes, not everyone's gonna go. Not everyone's gonna put in the work, put in the effort, or try, or allow, or I think he said just not everyone's going to go is what he said. He said, but um, the best thing that you can do is you lead by example, and those that choose to live their dream and do or whatever, be a part of that, they can. But the best thing you do is lead by example. Don't stop just because others
Right.
aren't. And I was like, yes, sir. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling really, it was like, to me it was big, right? So I know when I talk all this, but I still live it, because to me it was the cup of water, and then there was a gallon there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a gallon, oh my gosh, you know. Um, so I was feeling very overwhelmed.
And I think that, you know, every time you talk about what you get, every time you talk about what you receive, I see that you feel like it is like you're not going to feel guilty because that's one rule you cannot feel guilty, but I do feel like your sense of humbleness makes you question. It's like, oh my gosh, why? And I am assuming that's the part of the work too. You're like,
It
yeah.
is, and one is, of course, lead by example, but secondly is you got to get the fuck over that, because if you are a giver, which I am a giver, I'm a people pleaser, right? Um, you have more to give,
Yeah.
right? It's not like I'm hoarding it all for myself and like, like I'm going to take it with me or something, all the stuff I have, I see it as it's just borrowed, right? Cars, houses, it doesn't matter. It's not even real. It was never a big deal.
Yeah.
None of it was a big deal. But I think because it wasn't a big deal, because it was a big deal, it changes from what's attainable or not attainable, right? And that's really important also in manifesting, is understanding that you have to know that all that exists, and it's not even a big deal. It's not it's not a big deal, and it's the approach to say it's totally attainable and it's not a big deal. So am I coming from this little bitty narrative, what I thought was possible, or am I letting that go? Am I really letting that go? So then it's not a big deal. But also, I know life is very short. Um, I'm just the caretaker of this stuff that I have, the cars I have, the houses, the everything that I have. It's not really mine. I'm the caretaker, and it's all made up. Those rules or whatever you can do or not do, it's all just you're just making it up as you go. So you might as well make up something fun. And if it's borrowed, borrow some cool shit.
Yes.
Borrow what you want, right?
Right.
You don't have to pick and choose. You can have both, and it's totally okay because you're making up the rules. It's all made up anyway.
Yep.
It's all made up.
Donnie, before we move to that,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you could just very quickly touch on the pros and cons.
The pros and cons, sure. The on the good side of it, shit, everything's right. Relationship's right. Your house is right. Your travel's right. Your food's right. Your car's right. Every right that's right, you're chasing your dreams. Man, you're knocking them out back to back. It's happening. You're living a magical life. You are literally living heaven on earth. You literally are, right? That's the goods, right? What's the bads? The bads, this right here, right? This narrative of who you think you are, this narrative of this place in which you thought you were, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. You're going to lose. You're going to lose that. The way I felt about it is, and I saw that each time I said yes, I mean, I had to admit to myself that there is some crazy shit going on here. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't think it was that great anyway. So, you know what? I think I'm going to go this way. I think I'm going to go ahead and live those dreams. I think I'm going to pursue those dreams. I'm going to live this magical life where everything's right. Right is, well, it's not perfect, of course, but it's as right as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And it continues to get better. So, yeah, I'm going to go that way. And that, when I kind of crossed that within myself, I was like, well, because then you start to realize you look outside of yourself. You look outside of this preconceived idea of what your life was going to look like or could be or what's possible. And you let it the fuck go. But it's like, well, where am I? What the fuck is happening here? What is going on, right? Well, that's what's going on. So
Let me tell you that, because I think I've shared this. I'm in my early stages of practicing, but sometimes I'm like, actually, before we got here, I was like, what the fuck? I just got like 6 calls on something that I've been hoping, and I'm like, what's happening? As a matter of fact, I shared with my daughter-in-law. I was saying, why, and I was like trying to make reasoning and as to who's no, I'm like, why is this happening?
Right.
Because it was, and you can't, and that is, and it does feel, you know what it feels like to me sometimes when I am at a point where I'm getting to a place of where we're aiming for, is, have you ever, I don't know if you've been in, oh, I know, a wave pool. Have you ever been in, not the ocean, because the ocean is a whole different story, but when you're in a wave pool and at first the waves are uncontrollable, and so you're like, oh shit, this is a little scary, and you're trying to control it, but when you go with the waves, it's actually super relaxing and enjoyable.
Sure.
But I think that anyone may get to a place where, not a pro or a con, but get to a place where it's like so unnatural or unknown that you're like, okay, wait, am I supposed to put on the brakes here? Am I supposed to just float? Am I supposed to go with the flow? And that's where I am sometimes, that it almost peeks into my ego and almost gives me a little bit of a panic. But then I have to tell myself, nope, you got to go with it.
Just go with it.
So, yeah.
I guess that we hadn't talked about fear yet. So,
yes.
Yeah. What was fear and what was the other one?
Problems.
Problems.
Fear and problems.
So, problems. This is my approach, and I don't know. Whoever wants to do it, you can do it however you want to do it. Problems. I don't let that be a part of my vocabulary. Right. I don't let that occupy any of my energy. I don't allow that to be. Right. And you would think I would say, oh, you got some problems. But I don't say that. Instead, I say, okay, this is what's happening. What I'll give my energy to is solutions, moving forward, or accepting. Those are the only 3 options. If all you think about is problems, now you got a bunch of problems. Now you got a list of problems. And
you're sitting there.
And you're not
moving from
right.
them.
They don't feel good. So let that the fuck go. Right? Problems don't. It's like a 4-letter. Well, it's not a 4-letter, but it's like a bad word. It's like, no, not problems. And it's not denial. It's, this is what it is. What can we do to move forward? What's the solution? Or accept. I'll give all my energy to that all day long. No problem. But what's really cool is when you switch that to that, suddenly leaps and bounds, and just you start moving again. You get traction again.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Fear. We talked about fear a little bit before we turned on the camera. Fear, which I hadn't really talked about really in any of this whole process. Fear, if you're going to be afraid of something, be afraid of this, right? Be afraid of this right here. Be afraid that you're going to be your own worst enemy, right? You're going to be so convinced and so sure that you know what the hell's going on, that you don't want to see anything else. You want to hear anything else. That's fine. You can live and die, and you can be that, and there you are. My fear, I was always more afraid that these other parts of myself would never exist. I was more afraid that I was more afraid of the fear stopping me than I was of whatever it was like I was going to do, right? And you have to be more afraid of that than afraid of succeeding, right? You have to be more afraid that you will live and you will die on just some very small parts of yourself, not find that love, that peace, that harmony, this whole wonderful life, this whole wonderful existence, not only with yourself, but every person on earth. Be afraid of that. Do the work. Make peace with yourself. Find magic in the world. Find that, because you're definitely worth it, and the people that depend on you are worth it too. Mm. So, the other words, what we decided not to use in the podcast, frequency and vibration. Mm. I don't like that. That's just my personal thing, because I think it's a lazy way to explain something that can be explained. It's a blanket word for the unexplainable, mm-hmm. but I'm explaining it, so we can leave that out.
Yep.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Awesome.
So this next stage. So we walked through all this, and you're like, what the hell is this? So over here, so ultimately in the end, so if you think back, so in my previous story about reincarnation, talking about heaven and what it felt like to not be in a body, obviously, or from that, I know what it's like being in another body, obviously in this body, and then without a body. And we talked about this in part 2, is that I am not my body, right? My body is where I'm currently occupying, but I'm not my body, no more than I was the other body. It's just, this is my meat suit, and here we are.
Every time you say that, it cracks me up.
It's like, well, so basically you come to the realization that the dividing line between heaven, you could say eternity, you could use whatever verbiage you want to use, that they're actually in parallel. They're actually together. So when you say, well, where is heaven? Here is heaven, right here, right? So let me explain that. So currently I'm inside this body, and I'm seeing this reality, right? I've got my 5 senses. I can smell stuff. I got the lights. I can hear stuff. And my soul is in my body currently. So I am perceiving, and it's a 3-dimensional existence as well, in linear. I know this linear time. I know I'm getting excited about this. So I'm still here, but I'm just in this body. So if you think about what heaven was like and how I described that and where that place was, that place is actually right here. But since I'm stuffed inside this meat suit and I'm here, then it's pretty restrictive. So you got your 5 senses in this 3-dimensional, and then you have linear time. So here I am. But I also know that my spirit still exists in my body and is still currently here. But since I'm in here, this is my perception. This is what I'm perceiving as reality. So, and that's also where it ties in with manifestation too. So with manifestation, it's realizing that beautiful harmony that's all around us, that links us together, regardless of distance, everything that ever has or ever will exist, can be or will be, already here, is here, and exist. But you're stuck inside you're stuck inside this three-dimensional existence. And because you're stuck inside this three-dimensional existence, in order to access that, so again, if you tie in the timeline, of course, there's not really a timeline with eternity, but if you tie in the timeline in which the time in which you are living right now, with your existence, then of course the reality is that we perceive it is the ability to look past things in the current state, and that's the world that we live in and the time that we live in now. But what's really hopeful about that is that you have access to that 100%, and this is your time to live, and it's all still wide open. It's still all possible. It's still, you're not restricted to anything. You're not stuck. And then what's cool is it's all inside you. All this is inside you. That love, that compassion, that understanding, all that, and then it goes outward. But what also is inside you is heaven, and that's inside you, and it's all around you. And it's really cool to realize that. It's really cool because you have access to that. Not only are you not alone with yourself, but you're not alone with the human consciousness and every other human on earth, but also the universe does listen to your heart's desires. So you're also in tune with that at the same time. So that's all inside you, and that's all possible. And it's so fucking magical because at any moment, any second you decide it's already there. It's not one day you're going to become somebody. It's not one day you're going to be. You already are.
Right.
You already are. Not only are you already that, but you're already here. You just didn't know it. You didn't know it. But once you know it, that's when like the really exciting stuff happens. I allowed or whatever, manifested, because I did this work and I realized what I was doing. So once I realized that, I actually stopped manifesting for a while. I don't need more stuff. Right? I don't need more cars. I don't need more house. I don't need more stuff. Right? So I actually had to stop and say, because I don't care about money, right? Money, no one cares about money. Money is just a tool. Money is just, you don't get a job because you need money. You get a job because, well, you need some shoes, you need some gas in your car, you need an apartment, but you didn't get a job because of that. And money is being just a tool. There's lots of ways to legally make money, legitimately. That's a whole nother thing.
Podcast number 2.
Right. Exactly. Number 4, right? But anyway, so I had to start dreaming again, and I do hear this from other people where they're like, well, I don't know what I want to dream. I don't know what. Just make up something. I know that sounds funny. Just try it.
No, that's
just make up something, because what's cool is that once you confirm it and once you realize all this right here, it's like, are you fucking shitting me? It's just that. Like, that's it. I like to say that it was always one big joke, and the joke was on me by me. Right?
Yeah.
Of course it was, because I was running off this instead of this,
But I cannot emphasize enough, even if you don't think, oh, well, this is too complicated, think about what I want to dream about. First of all, your concept of dreaming is, again, within that small amount of things of what you think
right.
Dreaming even looks like.
Right, because you
have your own definition of what quote unquote dreaming.
Because you're coming into it still with this, right? So okay, say you did all the work, you're like, all right, I love myself, thumbs up, high five, right? Well, now you that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
So now you start coming into this, and you realize you are in a situation. You're in such a situation. You're just alive. That's all it is. You're just simply alive. And you're coming into this time in which you were born, this time in which you're living. And you got eternal running in parallel, and you got the time in which you lived, and you're in a situation. But what's really cool, again, in the approach of your dreaming, let go of the who's in the house. If you can let go of the who's in the house, suddenly this little bitty line right here, suddenly you start getting access to all this.
Yeah.
You start access to all this. You get access to all this that was actually all around you the whole time.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, from all the way here. And that was ultimately, I guess that was it, right? So ultimately in the end, you realize that that's where you're at right there. The whole time,
Yeah.
you were right there. And of course, eventually, the body dies, right? I won't draw it, but the body dies. Well, what's really cool, and then it's a big circle, and then it loops back. So the body dies, but what's really cool, again, dying, it's so natural. Like, I didn't even know I died. Again, I know my previous life was probably mortified if he lived through the accident. My son, my little boy, and I could just imagine him. And here I'm like, I'm already in heaven and everything's cool and I don't know, it's great and talking to God, hanging out, what's up? And then and then here I come back again, right? And all this stuff. And of course I'm dealing with all this and here we go again, right? Actually, I was really excited to be an adult in this life because in my previous life, I like I said, I around 9 years old. So to make it to adulthood, it's like, man, I get to do big people stuff. It's like, how fucking cool is that? I love getting older. That's the other thing too about this whole thing. At any age, you can realize this. At any point, you can realize this. Hopefully, don't wait too long, right? But what's really great though, age is an advantage. As of today, you're the smartest, wisest, the best. Well, you may not be the best version of you because you might be a mess right now, but you are the wisest that you've ever been, right? So I think that's awesome. You are holding a winning hand for all the great things and wonderful things you've ever done in your life. You can do that, and more.
Well, and that's so important to emphasize because if you're just looking at that small time, then you're thinking, oh my gosh, my time is ticking and there's an end. But if then you look at the big picture and you realize that there's not an end,
There's
that
not an end.
you're amongst this beautiful heaven on earth.
That's right.
Here, everywhere. Right. Then being afraid of getting older goes away. Being afraid of losing time goes away. Being afraid of all those things that someone or something has been putting into you, into your narrative, it all goes away. And so you begin to really enjoy life and appreciate the journey. Right,
as opposed to coming from a place of fear, coming from a place of all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can even, I feel like that's when you can really start letting the reins loose and dive into dreaming.
100%. What's really cool is that once like you do this, right? It's laughable because you're like, like I call it Forrest Gumping it up, right? You don't try harder. You actually try less. Trying harder means that you're drawing from, here you go, and this little bitty, you're trying harder, right? The only way you can try harder really is by going off the narrative, whereas you try less, that basically means you're allowing, instead of this little sliver of possibilities, like, man, I know it's coming down this hallway, right? I know this is how it's going to be. I know it. And meanwhile, all these other hallways around you, it's all happening and you're just letting those opportunities go by. So, but
you're letting go of that sense of control that you think you need in order to
that's
build your narrative.
Yeah. I call it Forrest Gumping it up. You don't, you dumb it down. Don't overthink it, underthink it.
Yeah.
Now, are there cases where you're going to have to use every brain cell you have 100%?
Yes.
But the big magical things won't come from that.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I wanted, I don't know. I think I told you about, I don't know if I shared this in the last part too, but I wanted to share like practicing what an example of practicing for me looked like. I think I don't know if I shared or not, but anyway, it was I was reading one of the books and something silly. It said practice, one of the books that my dad highlighted for me, and it said practice manifestation just ask the universe something that you don't know, and then it'll come to you. And you don't ask any questions. Don't ask where, why. Let it go. Let the process happen rather
Yeah.
than try to control it. So I thought about the silliest thing. I didn't do well in high school. I didn't do well in school at all. So I was skipping most of the time
Right.
instead of being in school. So I couldn't remember 99% of my teachers. And so I was like, okay, I got it. I'll never remember my English teacher. And so I was like, I asked the universe, I said, what is the name of something so silly? What is the name of my English teacher? And a couple of days passed. And I was like, and I didn't even think about it. And then I shit you not, on Facebook, part of, I think I told you, part of my, I'm a Facebook alumni page or whatever. And there it was. Someone was like, does anyone remember? And it was my English teacher. I was like, what? Someone just told me out of nowhere in a whole different state. And I know that sounds silly, and some people would call that coincidence, and silly coincidence at that. But that's my practicing,
100%.
you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I think it does take practice. It does. For me, now where I'm at with it, I get it. As long as I'm not asking the who's in the house. The other thing too is that with my happiness, I basically expectations. Expectations are set by us. Expectations are the foundation of disappointment. You know, so that's I let go of expectations. So let go of expectations. So I'm not disappointed, right? I'm my daily routine. I don't have a plan, right? Every day I wake up, I have no idea, right? Because I don't want to get stuck in this little line. It's no place to be, right? Instead, I don't have a plan in that sense. The only plan I have, this is my daily plan. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to self-sabotage. I'm 100% in gratitude. Even before things happen, I'm already in gratitude. I'm so thankful, so grateful for every moment, every breathing, waking moment. I woke up that day, or any day, any moment. When I drive home, I'll be grateful for that, you know, because it's so cool. You know, I remember when I would give anything just to get him a truck and drive somewhere. Are you kidding me? It's such a really amazing thing. But to say yes, and then really just find those quiet times and find that quiet and listen, and then just rinse and repeat. And it's just, and what's really cool that all my time I spend chasing dreams. That's it. You know, it's crazy. And not only is it crazy, I say it's crazy, but yeah, you know, because here I was thinking that cup of water, I was thinking that gallon, I was thinking, it's like, it's crazy, and it doesn't stop. It continues to get bigger, no matter what aspect that dreaming goes to. The answer is yes, right? But also, it's important to minimize. Now, you don't minimize your dreams. In minimizing, it's knowing that it's here. Everything is here, and then that's in parallel, right? So when I say minimize, you're not minimizing. That's just your faith. That's just believing. It's no big deal. It's already there. Easy peasy, you know.
Faith,
right?
Having that faith,
right? You know, I have the luxury of, you know, the memories, but you know, it's okay. You know, you don't have to have that. You know, the faith in that, the whole thing that we explained in this one. Yeah, and it's no big deal.
And honestly, you don't, if you're the type of person, because I've been there before, that is like, well, I don't know. What do you have to lose?
Right.
And so, and maybe you have hit.
Well, you know what you have to lose.
Rock bottom. Yeah, that whole entire fucking.
What you have to lose is this right here.
Yeah.
A preconceived idea of what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. or what even your own life looked like based on your past. You're like, well, my first 20 years sucked. Next 20 years, it's going to suck too. So, yep, there it is, So anything that goes against that narrative, the narrative of who you are, you gotta let that the fuck go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta let it go because it's wide open. You're alive. You're still kicking. You're still here. Yeah, that's all you need. Like, yeah. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And again, I don't know, this might be our last podcast on this. Now, we might do other podcasts if we can like find, who knows? We don't know what it's going to look like. But I was also excited to do this one. And again, I don't know if it's the last one, but I like living it. The podcasts are fun. I love sharing it. I felt obligated to share that because I don't know why I remember. I have no fucking idea. I'm just as like, I don't know, but I feel obligated to do that, and I've done my obligation.
Yeah, I agree, and I cannot tell you. I wish I wish folks could see what has been experienced while making it, because like we talk about, like we mentioned it and we didn't know what we were going to do, but more than anything, I mean, even the fact that we don't edit. At first I was like, wait, do we edit this kind of stuff? And you're like, nope, we're going to, all that. There was time. We spent time and we talked.
Sure.
But this is part of the trust and faith that whatever came out of it was supposed to come out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I can tell you that I write things down as we're talking to jog my memory once or twice, but there is no script. There is nothing. There is literally allowing the experience to ask the right questions.
I think our first podcast that we were pretty nervous. I know I was. I was also going through insecurities of my own, where I was like, hey, I should find this voice, right? Or I'm going to find my voice, right? I'm going to be this, whatever. But that was my own insecurities and me telling myself that I wasn't good enough. And what was really cool is once I realized that, it's like, oh, I am good enough. You don't have to make up something or become this
other person.
Right. It's like
persona.
Right, this other persona, with the robe and the weird hair and the I don't know, and the shiny makeup, some really cool shoes. Anyway, which I thought would be funny to do a spin-off of this, but like in those characters.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll do that. You never know. The thought makes me laugh. But by the time we did our second one, you and we talked about all this, and that we actually got a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think once we got, I would say 20 minutes into it, things started really flowing a lot better.
Right.
And then this one, we were so ready for this one.
I know.
Because this one, the other ones, they're tough. The other ones are the trenches of life, and those we want to start talking about like the really cool, fun, cool stuff. And that's what we were really, really looking forward to sharing. But of course, we had to get through. You got to get through that other stuff before. Otherwise, imagine this was the first podcast, or we just started off down here. You're like, what the hell are you guys smoking, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully we did a good job in conveying what we wanted to say and navigating that whole thing. So
I think I'm so grateful to you, Donnie, for sharing.
I'm grateful for you because I'm a mess, and I could not, without my co-pilot, then there's no way. It just wouldn't have materialized.
Wow.
So I'm super grateful too.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Is there any other things you want to talk about?
I think
we got all of our notes crossed off.
Yeah, we touched everything.
Okay.
That's just, yeah.
All right. How long did we go today? Was it 2 hours?
Oh, 2 hours, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to stop it?
Yeah, go ahead.